Thou shalt not steal. Yeah, you've probably heard that before, haven't you? It turns out, though, what constitutes stealing isn't black and white to all of us. So who wants to be a crypto millionaire? I do. But 100xing your altcoin bet isn't quite the same as coming into that sort of money by accident. And that's exactly what happened to one Australian couple who were made rich overnight by crypto.com. The crypto exchange mistakenly refunded them $7 million instead of around $70. Now, it sounds on the surface at least a little bit exciting, doesn't it? But what this couple did next ultimately landed them in, let's say, a spot of bother. Allegedly, it was spent on 4 houses, luxury goods and gifts, and they're now facing trial in Melbourne as a result. Now, Crypto.com obviously says the money was sent in error and should have been returned. The family, meanwhile, claimed they were entitled to spend it because they thought they'd won it in a competition. Now, this is something that's cropped up more than once in crypto, and we're going to discuss whether the industry is uniquely challenged by this in just a moment. But many traditional banks have, of course, faced very similar issues. One extreme example is a family from Louisiana who spotted a $50 billion, that's right, billion, deposit in their Chase bank account. In that case, they ultimately left the money well alone and the bank duly claimed it back. Meanwhile, at the other end of the spectrum, in New Zealand, a couple went on the run for 2 years when they mistakenly received $7.5 million following a banking error. Now, that particular story was eventually made into a film. You may have seen it, Runaway Millionaires. So, at the risk of being obvious, it's worth considering where we stand on things like this for crypto. Is keeping this sort of error the same thing in our space as it is in any other? And are there any exceptions, like jumping on exploits, for instance? We decided to get some legal advice. Paul Haswell, partner at Safepath Shore, has been talking to us and had this to say.
Crypto, you can assume, will be treated in the same way as property and possibly treated in the same way as money, which means that if you go look at money, you're required by the Theft Act in the UK to give it back, and there would be similar rules in other jurisdictions. But in general, any property that comes in your possession by mistake that isn't yours, either you would be liable in the law of that jurisdiction, or the individual who's accidentally transferred it to you could sue you to get it back.
So are there any additional challenges for the crypto space compared to traditional finance?
The one thing that could be a challenge is if you can't identify who it's been transferred to, or the person cannot identify who transferred it to them. So you could have some logistic challenges which would make following the procedure impossible. You should still try and report it. If, for example, it was just transferred to your wallet anonymously, you'd have no idea necessarily who it was. You could just transfer it straight back, because you'll know who the wallet holder is. But if you didn't, chances are they wouldn't be able to catch you and find out who's been transferred to. So anonymity plays a part. But I'm not suggesting that you just keep stum and then go and buy a yacht.
In which case, is the law then maybe seen as being biased towards companies who make mistakes here, or is it that everybody should ultimately be aware that unexpected windfalls are likely to be too good to be true?
It isn't really biased, it's really protecting someone who makes a genuine mistake. I mean, you'd be pretty annoyed if you keyed in the wrong number on a bank transfer and accidentally transferred money to a third party, and then they said tough, finders keepers. Despite what some people think, there is no finders keepers law. There have been instances where people go to the police, report something that's lost that they found, and then after a period, say 6 months, a year, the police go, nobody's claimed it, you may as well keep it. That's fine, because then you've got authorization to do so.
One interesting aspect is the fact that Crypto.com took over 7 months to notice the error. So could a mistaken transfer theoretically be claimed back at any point, or is there a statute on the length of time, for instance, going to be working in individuals' favours?
There is some case law. So, for example, if someone's being paid in error for a period, one of the main cases relates to a salary. Someone's being overpaid for a period of 3 years, and they assumed it was just a pay rise. And then when the company sued them to try and get it back, they won. The individual won. The company didn't win. And they said, look, it's been too long. You should have realised it by now. So if a long period transpires, and if the money, the amount is not something that isn't obviously a mistake, then you may find that the court would find your favour, but don't count on it.
On a slightly smaller scale, according to CoinDesk, Coinbase is threatening to sue around 1,000 crypto traders in the Republic of Georgia after they took advantage of a pricing glitch. The exchange apparently priced the local currency at $290 instead of $2.90 for about 6 hours. Now, the price glitches are pretty common. Do a quick internet search, you'll find plenty of them around with a litany of mistakes all over the place. Back in 2014, of course, the price of some 75 million items was slashed to just a penny by a glitch on software that affected Amazon. So are crypto exchanges obliged to ultimately stand by any errors in their pricing?
So the crypto market is a bit different because there's no strict rules on it. It's not, for example, arguments where if you go into a shop and the wrong price is something, you should be sold to it. Generally, if there's a genuine mistake, unless there's something in the terms and conditions that means they guarantee any pricing and you can argue it, you still wouldn't get to keep the money. So the price glitch case, really, they don't get to keep the advantage of it.
Haswell says that even if you're pretty sure the person or the company will never find you, the right thing, of course, is to always give money like this back. Our thanks to Paul for helping keep us ethically in check. Of course, if you disagree with any of this or think there might be situations that are a little more complicated that we've glossed over, do let us know in the comments. In the meantime, like and subscribe to this video for more content like it.